Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are building a video game from scratch using Love2d and Lua. We are working on our second spellcast element, which is the water spell. And we're working on what it does to entities. So we got a splash state. So this gecko after 3 seconds gets splashed and then he flashes blue like that. And that's only part of it, because what the splash needs to do is also slow down the walk speed. And then I'm thinking of one other thing here where right now what we're doing, if I go in to turn on the render for what we call Square Magic Land, it's the tile. This green square is the tile that our spell will land at. Right? So we've got this. This is all great. But in order to trigger the blue splashy state on the entities, we need to detect collision. So I was originally thinking, okay, well, all we do is just detect collision on the magic square land, and if the thing is in the square as we're casting, it's going to get hit by the water. But that could prematurely trigger a splash, or it could also miss something that's like right in front of you. So if the thing's like right in front of me and I shoot this and we only check collision on the green square, even though the spell went right through him, you know, it should get the collision, you know, if someone's flying in front of them. So not just where the square is, but literally where the circle is, where we're casting the circle. So what I want to see is we can do a color here, and I want to say we did a version of this where we render the circle. Yeah. So it's not, there was one where we're rendering it based on the projectile's location. Projectile's location is, there we go. Okay, so I think we should do collision based on this blue circle rather than the magic land, because the blue circle spits out of our body. So if there's a thing right in front of us, the blue circle collision would hit it, as opposed to waiting for that magic land check. So I'm going to give live streaming one more shot here and see. Nope, it is already horrible. Yeah, okay. Well, so I'm dedicating, I have not streamed probably 30, 50 different times because the stream just didn't work, right? My upload speed wasn't good enough to stream, so I ended up not programming. And I am not doing that anymore. I'm just going to be recording locally. Anytime we crash, I'm just going to record locally, post the VOD to YouTube, and sorry Twitch misses it. I mean, I just can't continue not making progress because I have shitty internet. Oh, yeah. Well, that's okay. I'm bummed that we can't stream tonight, obviously, but we're still going to move forward with the game. So yeah, hopefully fiber comes to my neighborhood in the next decade, but we'll see. So this is the collision I want to check, but I also want to be able to level up this spell, right? We have a level 1, 2, and 3 of every spell. So right now it looks like it's the size of one tile, which is pretty big. And I think, let's see, when we do a love.graphics.circle, this fourth param here, I think, is the radius. So if we did a radius of a tile size, it should be massive, right? Yeah. So maybe that's level 3, is a massive blue circle, you know? So maybe that's level 3. This is level 2. And then level 1 might be smaller. And the thing is, even though it seems it might be unfair to do even smaller, the entities are squares like this. So the collision detection for a circle in a square is very reasonable, right? So like if any part of that circle touches that square, or if it's in the same, you know, if it lands in the tile they're in for sure, or if they land in front, it'll still hit. So it's not as huge of an upgrade, but I think it's okay. I like the divide by 3, divide by 2, divide by none for the size of this thing. So we might move forward with that. Yeah, so maybe we can have plus, maybe we can say self dot level size, or spell level. Okay, and then if the radius is whatever spell level, the spell level needs to be assigned. It's a little weird. We have 3 different. Well, yeah, I kind of let's leave it at spell level. It's a little weird, but we can say spell level right here is going to get tile size divided by 2. So we can say something like this, where it's like, you know, we can say level 1 is, and then we can say it is divided by 3, and then we can say level 2 something else, you know, level 2 is divided by 2, and level 3 is just tile size. Okay, and then we can just, for right now, just turn it off so that it's only spell level 1, which is slightly smaller than the square. Cool. Okay. We probably will change the sprite animation for small, medium, and large too. But we're probably not going to do that tonight, let me tell you. This is looking okay. So look, I like the splash. I like the splash effect. Nice. Nice. Oh my god. Oh my god. Nice. Okay. I'm liking this. Let's try to modify the walk speed. So where are we doing this splash? What do we call it? Splashed. Here we go. Splashed gets true. Okay, so right now. Okay, so the bool splashed on our entity will make us flash, and it'll also increment our flash timer for flashing, if we're splashed, we want to set our entity's walk speed to something else. So, for example, let's just say like walk speed is, I don't know what we initialize this as. $8 to 14. So for right now, let's just put 30. So it'll be super fast if this works. I just want to see if modifying the walk speed here speeds them up. If it does, then we might be in business. Let's see. After 3 seconds. Yeah, it does look faster. Okay, so if when we instantiate a gecko, the random walk speeds between 8 and 14, let's say a splashed gecko is probably only 4 or something like that. Let's say 5. Yeah, see how much slower? Good, good, good. Okay, we also need to cleanse him. And oh, he's so cute, trying to get to me. Cool. Okay. Walk speed of 5 is pretty good. But we need to trigger this not on a timer. Not on a splash timer, but on a collision, which gets tough. So ideally, I mean, you know, it's tough because we can put it here. We can say if there's a gecko in a walk state, let's go cycle through our projectiles, if any, check for collision with our entity. But that doesn't help us with any other entity, right? It needs to be on the entity class, not on the gecko walk state. So in our entity class, we should have an update. And in the update, we're doing a bunch of random stuff. Spellcast to bat collision. See, we have this method on our entity class called fire spell collides. So we could probably do something like this. It's just when we made this, we only had the one spell. So we kind of just say, okay, well, if we're casting, then go ahead and do this stuff. But now we can be casting with a different spell, which means different results, right? Instead of a knockback, they're getting a nerf of slower walk speed. So we can't quite do this, but also I don't like, because look, if it's a successful cast, we're doing this, and then we're checking this fire spell collides. Let's see this fire spell collides method. Okay. Okay, well, we do have... Oh my gosh, man. Who wrote this game, man? Who's responsible? We have a generic collides with the target. It does have a collision buffer offset here. I'm hoping this is only like 2 or something. My go to definition does not work. I don't know how to do it. How do I used to be able to go to definition here. Yeah, collision buffer only 2. Okay. This is okay. So we have a collision already for it. We have an AABB collision with a little bit of a buffer, 2 pixel on each side of our 16. Do we check every entity for collision? See, I don't know. I don't know how to go about this. Because it's like, I guess we could do some sort of checking, like, hey, if fire spell collide, go ahead, let's check fire spell collision. If Aqueous is equipped, let's go ahead and check for Aqueous collision. So stuff like that can make sense. Aqueous equipped. Let me see if there's a thing like that. Aqueous equipped. I think it's Aqueous casting on our player. We do have an Aqueous casting. So if our player is successfully casting Aqueous, then let's go ahead and do collision checks. And we'll say if the self collides with this player, actually, it's this player, we want the actual Aqueous projectile. So here we have this Aqueous projectile. So whenever we instantiate this as Aqueous projectile, it's on our player called Aqueous projectile. Okay, so on our player, so Aqueous projectile is the parameter we're giving the self collides, which is a typical AABB collision that accepts a parameter of a target, like right here. We check the AABB. It's just very simple square collision detection. And then we're saying, okay, well, if the entity, which is like the gecko in this case, only if our player's actually casting a spell, so only if the blue circle is existing, then we're going to check if the gecko collides with a given projectile. And if it does, that's when we want to put this trigger to the entity splash. So this right here, instead of doing this after a splash timer, we're going to do this under a collision. So when we're here, if we're colliding, then it's not self. Actually, it's not self.entity. Self is the entity, so it's just that the self gets. I don't know if that works at all. I don't know. Let's see. We're gonna see if we can trigger a splash. Okay, so 3 seconds shouldn't matter to this guy. Entity 119, it don't like. Entity 119. Okay. So it didn't like that we were doing this. Yeah, it needs to exist, right? If the actual projectile doesn't exist, it would be nil and then we crash. So we have to maybe check if it's not empty or something. So maybe aqueous projectile, because we're crashing here because the aqueous projectile. I don't think it has to do with that. Just try to index 1. Okay, target is a nil value. Okay. So instead of doing this, we can say if there is a projectile, then let's check collision with it. They don't like that at all. Okay, the trigger did not work. We didn't crash. If the entity collides with the player's projectile, then the entity becomes splashed. Now, when we have this walk state where we say self entity is splashed, see, because we initialize these things in the walk state. We might have to put this, we might have to define this on the actual gecko. Because we pass in the entity as a param here in the init, and then we take the entity as the self.entity. So this stuff is kind of part of, yeah. Even though it's right for this to be, oh god, dude. It's tough. It's tough. We might have to move this out of the walk state and into the entity class. Yeah, we're probably gonna have to do that. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I am not feeling all too well. My eye has been swollen and stuff, and my eyes are just tired. So I think we will maybe take a look at what we've done and see if we can feel okay committing. We added size level 1, 2, and 3 spellcast, as well as visualization for the landing. And then we're trying some stuff in the entity for trying to trigger splash, but this stuff is just not working. Okay. Let's take a look here, because I think on entity update here, we just want to leave a note for us to be like, hey, we left off here. Entity update. Yeah, let's just say yeah, and it also makes sense for it to be in the entity because more than just a gecko in a walk state can get splashed. You know, a bat can get splashed either in idle or pursue, and a gecko should be able to get splashed either in idle or pursue state. So we do want to move that over. I am just out of energy for the day already, so that's just how it goes sometimes. let's say we add aqueous projectile sizes and gecko slow walk upon splash. And then we'll adapt it so that we can do it on multiple entities, not just a gecko, but it'll slow down the walk speed of whatever we're trying to modify. So yeah, sorry it's a short one today, but I'm glad we streamed anyway, even though internet sucked. But we'll be back tomorrow and we'll work on this stuff again. Just moving that splash logic into the entity class instead of the walk state. And then once that's working, we'll have our second spell in the game. So that's pretty exciting. Thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back. Have a good night.